Revelation. I used to paint with paint. Now I paint with food. See infinity in powdered turmeric, or a soy sauce stain, a splash of red wine, or Lingham's 100% chili sauce, a mild piquant relish, an appetizer of delightful flavour, though problematic drying time. I use the mess of life and make it messier, burn to bring out individual qualities of various dried fluids. But working with these remnants, am I negotiating yet another novel strategy? Or is there a chance to see beyond artifice before habit closes the door again? Way out of an impasse. Don't paint with paint, paint with food. Use it gratuitously like some swear word. Artists, are you lost? If so, find yourself in a paper plate. Forget canvas and support. The paper plate can take care of all your needs for stretcher surface, also food, being a receptacle for it, and all things of culinary wonder. Exhibition in the market, or why I decided to burn a paper plate for art. South London on the 2nd day of October 2004. A red bus runs after a setting sun on Brixton Road. I walk to an exhibition somewhere in Brixton Market. I pass stalls, their shutters down. I see food-stained newspapers on the ground. I smell fish and rotten vegetables, and then I hear a hum. And round a corner I found the exhibition. I light a cigarette, smoke it before going in, watching it burn, breathing it in, the smoke and the atmosphere of the place. The art I can't remember now. I left after a while, and on my way home I wondered why. Why art pale next to the sight of food-stained newspapers on floors at night? I turned a corner, I saw the light. The supermarket was still open. I walked in, looked on the shelves, I knew what I wanted. Wrapped in plastic, but not plastic, but paper. They came in packs of different sizes. I chose the small size. Why had no one done this before? The potential for transformation. To hold all that oil on canvas couldn't. I ran home. A frantic confusion of fumbled keys, closing doors, opening wrappers followed until I was ready to light a candle, pour a glass of wine, take a sip, place a paper plate under it, on a piece of newspaper, tip the glass until a drop fell, splashed, and that was the start of it. I stared in wonder at the purple splashed circle, splattered round the edge with tiny drops flying off towards the sides. It was beautiful, beautiful. I raised it, placed it above the candle, waited. Slowly the wine turned colour from purple, stains appeared like brown stars. I was transfixed by the transformation of it, from everyday material into something else, of this world, but more than it, more than oil on canvas can allow. This burnt and stained paper plate was something to be worshipped at last and now. P.S. Anyone can burn a paper plate. Please be cautious. It can be dangerous. Thank you.
So thank you very much, both of you. That was beautifully read and beautiful tones. Thank you. As normal, I'm just going to we're going to toast Steve in a moment. So we're actually going to make a bonfire out of his paper plates and suspend you over it. No. But what we normally do is ask Steve if he wants to say anything more. I don't know whether you do, but if you do, please feel free about, I don't know, the connection between the plates and the poems or whatever. But if you have any questions, if you want to ask Steve, he can't run away. If anyone has any questions, but I know sometimes people, that's the last thing that anyone wants to do. But do you want to say anything, Steve, or have you said everything you think? Or
The only thing that springs to mind is that I've been working originally as an artist and then later became a poet.
when did that happen and how?
After I did my art history degree and MA.
So when is that? When
98, something like that.
Okay.
So I was part of the MA, was looking at manifestos, and then through that, part of writing the thesis was engaging in aesthetic theory, and then from that I was kind of writing mock manifestos, and from mock manifestos came poetry. And so it was a kind of thing like that, and then because of that I started burning the paper plates, because I was moving out of an impasse, because I was originally a traditional oil on canvas merchant. And so suddenly I was painting this stuff that I wouldn't have imagined painting 10 years ago. And then that kind of took on a momentum of its own, and then slowly the poetry then caught up. So it's a case of bit poetry, bit of art, bit poetry. And now I feel quite excited because they both seem to be doing the same thing or at the same level, which wasn't the case before. So it's quite nice there's a kind of balance. And as I was saying earlier, there's lovely comparisons between art and poetry. The editing process in one is very different from the other, but they're similar. So there are all sorts of connections there that make the whole thing really quite enjoyable.
I didn't realise that. I mean, I wouldn't, but I didn't realise that literally the poetry came out of these kind of artist manifestos, which I know you're really into, and I didn't realise it was such a. Well,
I once taught that I had the privilege of teaching this one HE course that had a syllabus that was very flexible. So for 1 year I got practical students all to write their own manifesto. They were all fashion students. They wrote their own manifesto for a new fashion. So, and then from that, you feed into your art.
You stole their ideas.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. That's so interesting, and that's a really unusual. Normally people say, "Well, I've written poetry since I was 8, or when I was 50, I suddenly started writing poetry." But that connection to something like an artist's manifesto—that's a very unusual.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are a number of people who worked in education in here, and it's if you're answering Q&As about this, it's quite easy to go on a diatribe against the educational system now. But there was a time a few years ago when teachers could do that.
Yeah.
They could. There's the learning outcomes